Okay, let's get started. Welcome tonight. My name is Baldwin Burgess. I'm with a company, my little company is called BD Insider. What I do is I spend most of my time figuring out how we can use simple technology to make more meaningful connections with our customers. I place technology and I use that to get under people's skin, get them to trust us more, get them to give us more business. I use that to attract people, to select the right kind of clients by telling the right kind of stories that we believe our ideal client is interested in. That's what I do all day long. And the way I do this is organize training programs. I consult with some companies. I also have an online training complex where you can also do this. I can teach you online how this works. And today what I want to do is I want to take you on a little tour of the immediate future. I want to tell you a little bit more about what we're going to be dealing with. And if anything, I hope I'm going to inspire you and fascinate you, but I also hope I'm going to terrify you a little bit, because I'm going to talk about how the world is evolving, and I want to talk about how hopefully you come out of this with a few new ideas on how you can maybe adjust your mindset to be a little bit more, to open your mind a little bit more to what's possible. So the first question is, like, why are we really here? I just want to check if it's actually showing up. Why are we here? Well, because we have to get ahead of the curve. You see, we're like that surfer on that wave. We're in a place where, like, we're going to speak a lot about exponentiality, about how fast the world is evolving. We have to put ourselves in a position of always being on that edge. I'm going to try to explain to you in the next 25 minutes why this really matters to adopt this kind of mindset. Okay? So we have to get ahead of that. Going ahead of the curve is all fine. If you go a bit too far, a lot of people are going to think that you're crazy. I mean, there's some people who don't invite me to dinner anymore because I've learned from that there's some things I just should stop talking about when I'm with people. So, you have to, like, find that sweet spot. If you're too early in a business, if you're too early, that means that nobody's really going to give you money for it. And if you're too late, you're going to be competed out of business. So it's that little sweet spot. Not too far to be crazy, but far enough to make a mark, to make a difference, to do something that's amazing. Innovation is accelerating. It's going faster and faster and faster. And the thing is, look at this. This is amazing, because this is 10 years. In those 10 years, all those little icons on the screen, those are the most obvious ones that I've chose, are things that we cannot live without anymore. These things are less than 10 years old. It's Facebook, it's the iPhone, or any smartphone of its kind. It's Android, LinkedIn, the iPad, and that last one is Slack. For those who use Slack, I personally don't like it, but it has the world adoption, the adoption world record. Slack is changing businesses as we speak. Anyway, less than 10 years old. Slack is less than 2 years old.
Sorry, what is it? What's that?
Okay, so Slack is, not to go too much off track, but Slack is something, it's like the anti-email. It's like a messaging service where we can, like, share documents and all kind of rich content with each other. Basically, we can bother each other all day long. That's why I don't like it, because it's like people felt like they had too much going on in their inbox, so they had a Slack which works in thematic tracks. But anyway, you may just get addicted to it once you start using it. Didn't really work with me, but I know a lot of people who love it. Anyway, so the point is that we just really, it's very difficult for us, even on a 10-year horizon, to envision the kind of things that we can't live without. I love this picture because this was like in the 90s, right? This is a bit of a joke, but there's so many things in the 1990s that you would probably get locked up for talking about. The thing is, technology will advance even faster and further. The problem that we humans have is that we are linear beings. We live in a linear world. 1 meter or 1 foot, depending on where you're from. Time is finite. It's all finite. We see things a lifetime. We establish elements of time and we live by it. It's all linear. You take the next client, or so many steps. It's all linear. But the problem is that we're not really compatible with the world, because the world is actually exponential. The whole universe around us is exponential. And if you compare the linear line to the exponential line, it's quite striking. I'll give you an example. If I would walk to that corner, that's 30 steps, right? How far would I go with 30 exponential steps? I'd go somewhere near 600,000 kilometers. It's 14 times around the world and back and forth to the moon. 30 exponential steps. The thing is, the universe, everything around us, works in an exponential way. Things like viruses, they start very small, they explode. Human population is on an exponential track right now. Seems like it's going to slow down, we don't know. The universe is expanding in an exponential way. We just figured out recently that the universe just keeps growing. The thing keeps getting bigger and faster. Fashion is exponential. Everything around us is exponential. The technologies we create are exponential. We're having we're a funny species, we humans, right? We create things, and then we reject them, and then we do everything we can to try to catch up with them. I mean, if any aliens are watching, they must be having a real laugh with us, because we create things that we even have to catch up with sometimes. The most known example is the Moore's Law. Moore's Law is where processing capability doubles every 18 months. Starts at 2,300, and there's a 2.6 billion. Yeah, 2.6 billion. That's in this time span of 40 years. That's exponentiality. It's all around us. It's not stopping. I want to talk about 4 themes today. There's 4 themes that are going to, I think, immediately change the world as we know it. It's virtual reality. It's global connectivity. I'm going to speak about deep data. We're going to speak about artificial intelligence and robots. All right? Let's take a deeper dive. Virtual reality. The thing is, if we can imagine something, it will happen. What you see on Star Wars, when you see those holograms, they're not far away. In fact, at some industry conferences, they're using holograms to beam speakers down as we speak right now. This is nothing new. It's actually happening. The thing about virtual reality is that this year it's going to become a mainstream product. I just Googled around. These are all the devices that are on the market now somewhere that you can go and buy very soon. You can choose between 20 odd devices that you can put another world on your face and immerse in it. Personally, the little one at the right, that's a cardboard one from Google. You stick your phone in, you can do a virtual reality experience. It's quite awesome, actually. And the box costs like $5. This is going to change everything, because some people are ahead of the curve here. Bill Clinton has a foundation. Bill Clinton is always asking you for money these days, so he can invest that in his humanitarian project in Africa. You know what he does? He takes you to his humanitarian project in Africa. He has a virtual reality suite which takes you there. You will be with him and Chelsea, his daughter, doing their work. You will look around you and you will see a 360 in all directions. You're at his project. It's funny how it works. Apparently he's getting a lot of money because of that experience. It's quite interesting. These guys are in Boston and they're getting funded right now, and this is the haptic suit. The haptic suit has been around for some time, but this is like people say, virtual reality, you're just going to put some goggles on, it's not going to be real, until you wear this suit where you can feel everything that you're seeing, where you can feel water, you can feel people's touch. The virtual reality world will become real. This technology exists. It's older than you think, actually. Haptic suits have been around for longer than you believe. They just haven't really found an application for it, and now they do. Haptic suits are coming, and they're coming soon. This is my virtual reality. This is a guy, I'm also involved in a few investment businesses, and I always like emerging markets, and I like to invest in those markets. And this is my friend David James in India. And we were helping him find some money to buy this factory in India. I'm not going to explain exactly what he does because it's kind of crazy, but he has a cutting-edge technology that he needed to go and build somewhere. And we made a 2D virtual reality, so the investors got to see this video. So you can see David, my friend, is giving people a tour of the factory. Actually, that video helped them to find enough money to actually start the lease on this place. I'd get to work. So that's just an example that virtual reality is not that alien. We can use it even in a 2D format. Okay. Good. Is this just going to loop? So, why am I talking about this? Why am I doing this? We had a conversation just before we started about your interior design business. If you could take your clients to the new product, let them sit down and put a suit on, feel the sofas. It's not going to be that impossible very soon. But other questions we have to ask ourselves is, will we still travel for business in 2025? What's going to be the point of doing that? Marie's not going to like this one, but what will happen to office space?
I don't like this one.
I actually have a plan for office space, but that's way too crazy to talk about. I think it's turn them all into farms. That's a very good way to use office space. But will we still need office space? That's a question. Will it be, it's not like, of course we will still need office space in a certain way, but I mean, the vast amount of office space around, what's going to happen with that? It's an interesting question. I don't have the answer to it, but it's an interesting question to ask. Will we still need our devices? You see, this is the thing that worries me most about the economical impact, or excites me also at the same time, is that if you're going to have goggles on your face, why do you need devices? Because they're going to be virtualized. Well, you need a keyboard? No. Well, you need a screen? No. We're going to go to a minimalist existence where we can actually have everything digitally virtualized in front of our eyes as we need it. And then those haptic suits, right? Questions to ask yourself. The biggest question is in your business, how are you going to give that experience to people when they're starting to get used to it? You have to start thinking about that. How are you going to get that to them? The second theme is the global connectivity. It's probably the biggest human mobilization that we've ever seen. It goes into billions. Who knows about Google Loon? Right. Google is going to give people free broadband. They're going to do this with balloons in the stratosphere. It's going to beam down signals everywhere in the world. It's not science fiction, it's happening. They tested it over Australia and New Zealand. I think it's live in Sri Lanka, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're doing it there. This is free broadband for everyone. Why? Because so they would use Google. Facebook is doing the same thing. They don't use balloons, they use these solar-powered planes that are going to fly around the world all the time. Why? Because Facebook wants to become the interface. There's going to be some strings attached probably. So if you take the Facebook signal, it means that you will do everything starting from Facebook, okay? But the point is you're going to give billions of people broadband connections, high-speed connections. It's interesting. It's a huge opportunity. And we like to think that the internet is all about the US and then Europe. This is in 2015. Half of the internet users are in Asia. So actually, you want to see this live? How many people there are online right now doing things? Let's go. Let's go and see. I don't know if you know this. I love this site. It's retrieving data. Right now, there's 3.34 billion. It grows. It's going a bit. Okay. Yeah. It's probably buffering. You see. That's the growth rate of the internet. And if you scroll to this page, it gives you a bunch of statistics. It gives you a bunch of statistics about how the internet is evolving. But what you're seeing as you clearly see, let's go back to the presentation. I just want to show this off. I think it's so cool. All right. All right. So the point is that the internet is in Asia. That's where it's going to grow the fastest. It's in Africa. That's where it's going to grow the fastest. The thing is, virtual reality, anybody can be anywhere. This is what you've got to think about. Your clients, are they there? You're in Europe. They like Europe. There's a connection. Can you make it? That's a big question for you to ask in your business. How are you going to deal with a sudden surge of people who may actually become your clients, regardless of where they are? That's a new possibility. Okay, that didn't work out well, so I got to go back. I see what happened. Okay, so this is another way to look at it. Another 3 to 4 billion people will come online in a very short time. That's crazy. 3 to 4 billion people is twice the world population when my grandparents were at school. All of a sudden they're going to be online, and in a span of like 3 to 4 years. You know, I get excited because I don't really know exactly how to deal with all that kind of volume. I teach people things online. That to me, that makes me drunk out of possibility when I think about that, right? Billions of new voices and minds. People who don't have our background. People who, doesn't really matter whether or not they're educated. The fact is, they're going to be the biggest number of users online. They're going to have a view on the world which we're just going to have to understand. They're going to live in a world where this is all taken for granted, where they don't have this background of having, been to school with pencil and paper and stuff. No. For them, it's just game is on. It's online. It's all virtual. Billions of new voices and minds. Very interesting place. You have to think about how you're going to connect with them. To think about how you sell your things to them, or what you can learn from them. There's going to be no language barriers anymore in the very near future. This is real. So connect. You have Siri on your phone, Google Translate, which is getting better and better. Private applications, which are even better and better. Put them together. We will be able to talk to each other. Language will not be the issue anymore. What it's going to be all about, what you have to focus on. Don't go and learn languages. Languages are interesting. I love languages. I speak a lot of them. I love languages because they teach me something about the culture. Don't go learn languages, learn cultures. That's the big message here. It's not about the language, it's a culture. If learning a language can help you access a culture, it's fine, but don't do it because you think you're going to have to talk to them. Instant smart transactions. cryptocurrencies. This is the new finance. This is where where a contract is embedded into the transaction, where it's instant, where the credit rating is instant, where if you behave badly, you're not going to get access to other people with with money. The Bitcoin is up and down. It's like a new phenomenon. People don't really entirely understand it. I think it's also very poorly managed. But the technology is loose. Cryptocurrency technology is loose, and it's increasingly open source, so we can do something with that. It's going to become more of a reality. Those banks are slowly going out of business. This is the replacement of them. Education, these people, education, this is to me, the most exciting driver. That's how she grows up. She lives in a world where she's going to be systematically learning. The information gets gamified. You're going to be dealing with a highly educated future population. They're going to have more access to information than we ever did. To think about that as well. Can you give them the education to win their business? Every business should start thinking like an educator in order to get top of mind and get their mentorship status. I hope this is making sense so far. The End of Jobs is a big one. You have to read this book if you have time. It's a fascinating book. The tectonic plates of work are shifting. There's not enough day jobs for all those people coming online. There's not enough day jobs for all those self-taught people. It's going to be a world of individuals working for themselves, connecting to each other. Read the book. It's interesting. I absolutely loved it. So the thing is, how do you turn all this disruption into opportunity? I'm giving you all these kind of reasons to worry right now, but what can you do with this? It's amazing what you can do with it. It should spark your creativity, because all you need is that Wi-Fi signal, a good idea, and a way to tell it. Really, that's what it is. And the learning curve is pretty steep, but it's fun on how to get them out there. In a data-driven world, you hear about this a lot of big data, and I see this a lot. So, for example, the big change is that it's not about this is my experience, this is what we've done all so far, and so this is how this is done. No. That's just really worthless right now, because what really matters is the possibility of how should this be done? I mean, how can I access all that global information? How can I process it? It's the end of guessing. You don't have to guess anymore. You just go and find out. And this makes you I have to be like this IT engineer and this and that. Actually, there's a very simple application to do that. We're going to look at that. Eric Schmidt, the CEO of Alphabet, that was the new name of the old Google, says that the internet will disappear very soon. And he's right. It's not going to disappear as we know it. It's going to disappear because it's going to become invisible. The reason why it's going to become invisible because it's going to have a few billion people and trillions of devices connected to it, which means that the internet is just going to be omnipresent. There's no way you can go in and out of the internet anymore in the future. You're going to be in the internet, unless you want to go and live in a deep cave somewhere in Iceland, or in Greenland. But internet will be so omnipresent that it will disappear from sight, but it will be there. It will be like the Holy Spirit. It will be there. Intelligence is not about what you know anymore, but it's about how fast you can learn and adapt to things. It's about how you can access information. And it's all about getting that competitive advantage of being those few little steps before someone else into a space. By knowing when that client is about, identifying that opportunity that is burning. It's like, this is my favorite sport. I love this game. This is very difficult to do. These guys are so highly trained. It's just that little training, competitive advantage to be able to snatch that ball out of that big guy's hands. There are ways to do this. Very simple. They're very cheap. They're not expensive. You don't have to go. You know most of these names. Maybe you know Hootsuite. I don't know. It's like one dashboard for your whole social media. It's good to. I watch it like TV. But what are people talking about here? Feedly is basically get all the kind of news around keywords that you want. Facebook advertising. I don't know who does a Facebook advertising here. Anybody? It's crazy how granular you can get about people. I said I want people who like. I'm going to exaggerate, but who live in that postcode, who like to walk to work and buy Louis Vuitton bags. You can do that almost. That's how granular you can start going. But the one I want to show you is this is something that I don't know if you know this one. It's called SimilarWeb. SimilarWeb I find fascinating because. Okay, let's do an example. Tell me, anybody volunteer to tell me this. A brand that you think your clients will like. The kind of people want to do business with. What kind of a brand would they like? Try to give me a more or less known brand.
Gucci?
Gucci. Let's do Gucci. Good idea. Let's do it. All right. So we're going to type in Gucci. What this is going to do is, let's say you want to go and so it's Gucci.com. I guess that's the website. Mrs. Giannini's website. This is fascinating stuff, guys, because so this is going to give us, Gucci has a lot of visitors. This is where they're from.
It's based on the
Yeah.
Google Analytics.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fantastic. So most of the people actually look.
But how can you access to those informations that normally are only accessible for those who run the site, or is this an abstract of?
No, it's real. I mean, I've tested on my own sites, and it's kind of real. I mean,
Okay.
I don't exactly know how they pull it off, but they do
Yes,
it.
this is my question.
Yeah. So this is U.S., United Kingdom. The Japanese like it. This is not we know this, right? It's not a surprise, right? This is where the traffic comes from. This is most of the sites that send them traffic. You can go into organic keyword. You can find out like what people look for when they find Gucci. Why am I showing you this? I'm showing you this because if you say like, so that postcode with Louis Vuitton handbags, you can go figure out where these people hang out. You can go find them. You can go get in front of them. You can actually, this is cottage espionage. This is amazing stuff. But this can make you more intelligent about your users. That was just a segue. I just want to show you that. Check that out. Show you. It's going to give you some ideas on how to get in front of your right audience. The fourth theme, and I'm almost done here, is robotization and artificial intelligence. I especially, I don't know if you saw this series, the Battlestar Galactica, the last version. I just loved it. But I think this is sort of, so something very big happened a couple of weeks ago. You probably read about it in the news. The Go game is an ancient, I think it's 5,000 years old game, Asian game. It's far more complex than chess. A lot of IT, artificial intelligence experts are saying that's the next barrier for an artificial intelligence entity to beat a professional Go player. Well, it happened. It's AlphaGo by DeepMind. DeepMind is a new algorithm. Now, this is a terrifying thing. Normally, so artificial intelligence beat people at Jeopardy, the TV show, and they beat people at chess. Fine. What makes a Go so complicated is because if you would compare it to chess. So with Jeopardy, they would load a whole encyclopedia into the machine, and then it would just basically do keyword searches and then figure out answers. It's quite a big achievement, right? With Go, what was really peculiar is that there's so many variations in this game that what DeepMind did differently from the computer that IBM used for Deep Blue for chess and for the Jeopardy. So I'm thinking too hard while I'm speaking here. So what happened is, what DeepMind does is, it doesn't only play against existing moves of players, it plays against itself. And that's crazy because it comes up with new ideas about how to play this game. And that's a big leap. So is this scary or is this encouraging? I don't know, up to you. The point is, we're going back to work. Like, what does it mean for work? This is from McKinsey. McKinsey says that, the impact is going to be like 5.2 to 6.7 trillion. And it's going to be where this kind of machine thinking is going to find its place into the places of lawyers, wealth managers, psychologists, everything that requires some thinking. It's in a way that's very challenging. Yeah. Are we ready for it as humans? No. No, we're not. Can we make it? Can we fake it? Are we going to put like human faces to this stuff? We may be able to. But that's why I always like, one of the biggest opportunities that we have today with all this technology is to work on that human connection. We have to use it to make that human connection. We have to make it real. It's not about being shiny and flawless anymore. It's not about being that that lawyer that won every case. It's about being a real human being who means what he does. That's what it's all about, really. This is probably the game plan. Using this technology to your advantage, but still making a human connection. And we did it again. He went online again. Oh yeah, because that report. So it's a little bit about if you can leverage this technology enough, you can still make a big dent. You can still compete with big players. You can still use automation to become more powerful, because it's going to help you figure out exactly who you have to do business with. It's going to make you understand the world better. It's going to give you a lot of intelligence. But I think being remarkable is no longer optional, because more and more people are going to be craving that real human connection. And if there's anything that I want you to take away from this presentation, is that you can use all the technology you want, and it's going to give you an amazing advantage, and if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. But it is just another super tool to try to figure out how to make the connection with the right people, make it really human, that connection, all right? So that's really what I wanted to tell you about today. I wanted to show you a little bit about what the challenges are that we professionals have. And I also wanted to say a few words about my training program, which is called Business Voodoo. Admittedly, you may have been a bit confused about what's this thing about a doll with needles in it, and we're going to talk about voodoo and business and this and that. And this guy talks about the future. This was a primer. I just wanted to make you think a little bit. I just wanted to make you think about what we're up against here as professionals. Now, Business Voodoo is I called it Business Voodoo because a lot of my colleagues and people that I work with used to say, like, "Hey, Baldwin, go do your voodoo on this." What that typically meant is like, okay, can you kind of find an audience? How do you put this online? Can you write a blog post? Can you make a little video that explains everything? That to them was like the voodoo, and that always stuck to me. And so it's called Business Voodoo because so sign up for this. This is a free training course. I'm going to give you a free intro, so it's going to get you up to speed. Some of you may be on the list already, but it's pretty much what we talked about today. But I just want to get you up to speed. You're on that list. Yes, after all, I am going to ask you to join the program and all this, and I'm going to ask you for some money maybe. You don't have to buy if you don't want to, but the point is that you may want to dive a little bit deeper into this. And what I'll show you is all these kind of things. It's a full program. It has 10 different modules. It starts with really defining your business story. I find making a website for a business is an extremely powerful experience because you just have to make sure that story makes sense to the audience. And then it's like how you craft a story, how you position it, how you use all this technology to make that human connection. Because in the end, what I want you to learn with all this is you become a technology ninja, but at the same time you still deliver that human connection that people really want, and are going to want increasingly. All right? Does that make sense? Thank you very much.